All six, one stroke. Ready, row. Row.
Killarney Sixes are timber, traditional, clinker-built, sweep or fixed seat boats, which would have been built locally in the late 1800s. Killarney Regatta claims to be the oldest regatta in the world. It may be. It also claims to be, this to be the 230 something regatta. The modern reality is that the current version of our regatta in Killarney probably started before the famine in the late 1830s. It's simply a different form of rowing. There is a tradition of fixed seat rowing, maybe more so on the coasts of every country, but let's say in Ireland there's a fixed seat tradition. Currachs, same boats. Six it's an unusual number. This is our dinosaur, and we've stayed with our dinosaur. It was once known as Killarney's Day Out, and there are photographs in Killarney's Rowing Story, the history that was brought out in 1985 of a shoreline back at O'Mahony's Point with maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people in the shot, and a huge tradition of local rivalry, a huge tradition of familial rivalry. There are names associated with Muckross, with Flesk Valley, with St. Brendan's, Commercials, Workman and Fossa that go back through the ages of Killarney rowing. The Killarney Six, traditionally made of cedar. The recent investments by the clubs in Killarney, all the boats are marine ply, because to buy that much cedar now would be astronomically expensive. The oars that we use are timber. The oars that Olympic oars person will use are carbon. I suppose one thing that's very different is where the oar sits on the boat. In modern rowing, there is a gate which locks in the oar. There is a system of pegs, two pegs that you row against, that hold the oar in place but don't allow it, or don't stop it from bouncing out, which requires a greater level of skill. It's probably the most difficult thing about teaching someone to row a traditional boat. Killarney Regatta has lost a lot of its competitive charm because the trajectory of clubs started to move apart probably from the late 70s on, when winning was really difficult and when clubs had very little advantage over each other. Same training programs, same training season, the races went around. So in the 1970s, for example, I think every club in Killarney won, almost, I think 5 of the 6 at the time, won the Killarney Men's Senior Six race, just for example. Now, over the last 25 years, 2 clubs have shared the winning of that race. So it has become more processional. Secondly, the love of rowing and the interest in rowing and the increased training level meant clubs started looking elsewhere for more than one day out. It led to clubs starting to buy Olympic boats, Workman being the first, who would have won a national title in the late 1980s, and that drove us all mad. We all wanted to get into getting around the country, rowing these newfangled boats. But what happened was, now some of the clubs are really, really strong, and those who only row the traditional boats struggle more. Nobody wants to go to Killarney Regatta and watch one club dominate, but the old solution of shutting down Killarney Regatta is not an option in 2025. The clubs are currently in a very interesting way looking at focusing on the boat. The Killarney Six, the beauty of rowing it, the tradition of it, its aesthetic joy as a piece of woodwork, and the lovely, beautiful run there is when you row one. It's probably the fastest fixed seat boat in the world. Our new focus is it's all about the boat. And last September we celebrated here in Muckross Elizabeth Rose, our oldest six, being 100 years old, and we had a fun mixed up regatta, not club delineated, person delineated, and it was a tremendous success. And Killarney Regatta Club recently voted to adopt that model for some of the racing at next year's Killarney Regatta. The motion that has been passed looks at running a number of evening at-home events. So, for example, Flesk Valley would host an event on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening for a number of hours, invite the local clubs to come, low-key racing, 500-metre sprints, things like that. A month later, Muckross or Fuss or whoever would host a similar event. So there would be stepping stones towards the grand finale of the rowing festival event at the end of the summer, which is hugely progressive and may well save the tradition of Killarney Sixing at Killarney.